Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Zone of Control Podcast. My name is Jerry, and today we have a very special guest on hand. Mr. Thomas Van Hare is here, and it's late where he's from. So I'm glad that he's stayed up and hung out with us. And so you guys all know the deal here with the Zone of Control Podcast. We try to keep this to within an hour because we know that Compass is right next door. So we want to make sure that we're doing that. We've already got 15 people in the chat, so please make sure you're saying hi. And man, I'm just really happy to have Thomas on board. So how you doing, Thomas? How you doing this evening?
Doing great, thank you. Good to see you.
It's good
seeing you
you
live.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, I know, on the War Room that one time, when we were on the War Room together. But it's it's good to have you on here. We've got a lot of people already in the room. Anthony from Arkansas. We were just talking about Christoph in the green room.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you see? I don't really like to fly. And then Jester's here because for some reason he has to. We have to protect his integrity. But yeah, this is going to be fun when we get to him. And then we got Pico Armor. We've got Paul. So Paul's one of the guys who's always on the show. Really do appreciate having Paul here all the time. Man, we've got a lot of people in the chat tonight. So Dave, Spare Rib. So and you're from Arkansas too, Spare Rib. Where are you from? I'm in Bella Vista. So folks, we're gonna go ahead. Chris is in the house. Man, you brought a lot of people in, Thomas.
Yeah, and Ricard Forlorn is in the house too. He asked me about the coffee.
Oh, okay, great. And there's somebody. So I'm a rookie because I'm not used to having this many comments go flying across the screen. So this is really good. You're good for the channel. So we're gonna go ahead, and first thing we're gonna talk about is we're gonna do what we do every week, and we're gonna talk about what's going on with the show. So this week we're gonna do some opening comments. We're gonna talk about gaming with Jester that we did on Monday. Winner chicken dinner. We're gonna have a great talk with Thomas, and he's got some really cool things coming up and going on. Then we're gonna do a little game that Thomas is gonna do, and I hope you guys are better at the game than I was, because I was horrible at it. And then I've got my own little thing I'm gonna try to stump Thomas with, and then we'll go from there. So let's just go ahead and get started here so we can get to Thomas. We can get to the cool stuff. So first thing I want to talk about is I'm playing a few games out there. I got Black Flight in the mail. If you guys did see that, I got that in the mail, and I also did a unboxing of that's already online. So I think, and if you guys, Thomas has got that wonderful map right behind him. There you go. Look at that map that's behind him. The deluxe edition, folks, is beautiful. It's a beautiful looking game.
Thank you.
I'm playing Traces of Hubris. Christoph, I just sent you a note, so hopefully we can get together for that. And I played more Blood of Lions, which is going well. We've got some going to be on a couple of podcasts coming up. I'm going to wait and tell that at the end and go from there. But yeah, it's been a good start to the week. The channel's been doing great, so I really want to thank you. And the reason it does so well is because we have guests on like Thomas. Last week, Stuka Joe set the bar, and now we've got Thomas in the house. So you guys are gonna, you guys are gonna be excited about this. Thomas also mentioned the thing that I'm a little darker than he is in the picture, and I told him that I have a face made for radio, so it's all fine. So nobody needs to see me anyhow. So Christoph, like the F4 is like the easiest plane to probably pick on the plane. So Thomas, what do you think of the F4? It's iconic,
It's a
right?
great airplane. Absolutely great airplane.
My dad, when he was in Vietnam, he said some of those things would come back just beat up and they would still be flying, Phoenix Knight is in the house. The map
is a big map. That's true.
It is a
Black Flight. It's a big
I
map.
love. So what's the material made out of?
It's a canvas with a vinyl coating.
That is really nice. I like what you did. I almost want to put it on my wall too. And but I want to play it first though. So before
this one is about 4 times bigger.
Oh, okay. And
that is a huge map. If I reach all the way back, you can see just how huge.
I noticed the last time that you were on the War Room too. I love that picture that's behind you, your other shoulder there.
This one over here.
Yeah, that's
one of my paintings.
It's beautiful, and
yeah,
it's really cool. So
thank you.
Yeah, so that's kind of all I've got for my opening comments. Now to the fun stuff. So Monday night, Jester and I played Great War Commander, a World War One game, kind of based on the Combat Commander series. And folks, I crushed him. He was crying like a little girl at the end of the day. Now, I will say it was the first time I've beaten him. So I'm happy about that. But it was nice being on the winning end, and he took it like a champ sometimes. But it was a lot of fun. We are going to be playing in a couple of weeks. Command and Colors Napoleonics. So we'll be playing that on Monday night showdown. But Jester, it was fun playing with you, but it was about time I won. So and you know, Thomas, one thing about Jester, he's very humble. Not really, but you know, whatever. So.
And he's actually brilliant at strategy, tactics, everything. When you play him, if you can beat him, you've really achieved something.
He's great. He's you know, we have so much fun because we're both not, look, we both want to win, of course, you know, but we've always just had a great time playing together. We mesh well together, our personalities, so that works well. Yeah, Christoph was there watching, and he knew that Jester was crying a little bit, but yeah. So I'm done with that now, Jester. We're going forward. He I think look, I got him so flustered. I think he meant to say he cheated so badly it wasn't even funny. But I got him so flustered. Look at him. And all right. So now we're gonna move on to the cool part of the show, and that's getting to talk to Thomas here, our special guest. So, Thomas, first of all, I want to know, where's that picture taken at that you're on here?
That's Mikael Carlsson's aerodrome here in South Sweden. He hand builds World War I aircraft, basically factory new in his workshop.
That's awesome.
So that is that could be sequentially numbered as the next Fokker DR1 out of the production line. He's also built a Fokker D7, Pfalz D3, I think it was, and Tumalisa, which is a Swedish biplane. Flew in 1919. It's like a Swedish sup with camel, and a couple of Blérios.
Wow, that's pretty. That's pretty neat. Now, I take it he sells them, or does he just collect?
No,
or
he flies them. You can see him at air shows around Europe. And he really throws them through puts them through their paces.
That is crazy.
Full on high G performance, you know, pulling around the sky, tightly turning. If you really want to know how World War I airplanes flew, you got to look up Mikael Carlsson with a C on Carlsson.
All right.
Yeah.
That looks amazing. It just and you look really happy because you look like you were enjoying yourself. So you know what, Thomas? Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Like, first of all, just you know, some of your little background, and then just tell us kind of what you're doing now, and you know, a little bit about Historic Wings.
Okay, you know, Historic Wings started in 1997, and I've written about 450 articles there, and I've done, I don't know, about 30 videos. I'm kind of a part-time video guy. I've always wanted to do like weekly videos, but I've never really gotten to it. And thanks, Bunzy. And so it actually began because I was running at that time an advertising agency, and I needed some projects to get the new designers and some of the other designers into some of the new design concepts that we were putting forward at that time online. And so it actually has web roots as well. And when it was first, within a year, it was the most popular aviation website, I think, on the internet.
Wow.
We had, on a normal day, we would have upwards of 20,000 people back in the day, if you can imagine that.
All right, that's crazy.
So it was really popular. And I wish I had done this wargame design thing back then. But I'm also a pilot.
Oh, okay. There you go.
As you know, and I've worked a lot in military and 3-time White House appointee, mainly focusing on Afghanistan, Iraq, Lebanon, other kinds of war zones. I've been in one way or another involved in about 7 wars in my life, and I've flown operationally around the world, complete global circumnavigations. I'm a member of the Magellan Society of Global Circumnavigators. And for my operational flying, I was declared an air pirate by Fidel Castro. And so that's the best title that one could ever possibly hope for in life, is air pirate.
That's awesome.
So, but yes, I do know a little bit about airplanes. I think I started flying, my first flights were around 1975. I'm quite an old guy. I flew in a PT-26 Yellow Bird, World War II era trainer. And that's how I first started flying. So
have you always had the love of flying when you were a kid and stuff like that?
Yeah. My father was also a pilot. He was an Air Force officer, flew in the Korean War, all black airplanes at night, RB-26C. It's an electronics intelligence aircraft. And he would fly down the coast of China and up over North Korea and such. And it was, the RB-26 is a modified A-26 from the Second World War, twin engine medium bomber. But they stripped out all the armor and all the guns and lightened everything and tuned the engines to the max. And at one point, my father was chased by a MiG-15 and he outran him in a climb.
Oh my gosh. Well, my dad was in Korea as well. He was drafted in the Army and was a tanker in the Army. So.
Oh, wow. Wow. That was a brutal time. Korean War.
It was a brutal time. It was kind of funny. So he was, just a quick story. He was in the Army and he got drafted along with his 3 other brothers. And when they all came back, they all went back to the farm, and that lasted for about 9 months. And they said, yep, we're going to. So they all went back in the military, just different branches. And so my dad retired from the Air Force, actually. So, but he wound up in Vietnam for a little bit too. So unfortunately,
Jester writes that I was around the world in 80 days. Actually, it was 110 hours spread over 10 days flight time.
So you're a pretty tall guy, right?
I'm 6 feet even.
Yeah. So isn't that just like being crunched up for a long period of time? I'm 6'2". I can't imagine just being crunched up in an airplane like that.
No, that was on a special mission in C-141. So, I could get up and go make myself some coffee and such.
Well, again, I just want to thank you for taking the time out for joining us. And you're a very interesting person. And again, I'm really glad to have you on.
Well, thank you, sir.
So now, why we're having you here is we're all love war games, right? And you have been on a roll with coming out with some pretty amazing games. I've got Tally Ho and Overflight, and now Black Flight. What kind of inspired you to? I know that you're the airplane part of you, but have you always had an interest in designing games, or?
It's an interesting question. I started, in fact, exactly 3 years ago with this part of the Historic Wings business. But I think my first game design was something around 1975. So I go back a little bit of ways, but I hadn't designed any aviation games. And I've done 7 games since then. And the latest one actually was submitted for publication today, which is the Battle of Palmdale, which ID Jester would know was discussed with Meandering Mike on the War Room back in the time. And all of the games, one of the key focuses that I have is to create games that have a narrative focus. They tell a story, but not where it's on rails. There's a lot of decision making. Every game has to be built with a lot of history. So I've taken kind of the war game concept where there's usually only about 1 paragraph of history, and I've turned it into like half a book on history, half a book on a game. And so it's the more you play, the more you want to learn. The more you learn, the better you are at playing. So they kind of work together. One of the things that I've been focused on is realism, because aviation games, when they talk about realism, they're usually talking about flight dynamics. And the real key is to not get bogged down in flight dynamics and complex aerodynamics and such. So it should be fast to the table, easy to learn and play, very complex in tactics and strategy and operational side. And yeah, at the end of the day, every game has to tell a story. So that's really what I'm up to. And you've got all the games there on the map there. The first one I did was Tally Ho, and that was really a trial game for me. And it's turned out to be one of the best sellers that I've ever done. The best seller of all is Mag 23 Guadalcanal, which is about the Cactus Air Force. And it really tells a story, and it teaches you, the games teach you history. It teaches you really what happened on Guadalcanal in 1942. And the next one I did after that was SOE Lysander, which is a completely different kind of war game. You're in a Lysander, unarmed, without any armor, flying at night, dropping off special agents in France. And it's quite realistic and detailed, and it teaches you about how the Special Operations Executive operated in the 40s. And then after that, I did Overflight, which is another one which is reconnaissance based. Again, it's a war game where you don't get to shoot back, but you're flying over the Soviet Union in U-2s, and the game puts you as the head of the CIA's flight programs. And then after that, because of the Ukraine war, we did Game of Drones, which is really quite a different game. It puts you in charge of a Ukrainian drone team, and you have to kill the Russians coming at you in meat waves and such. And it's quite realistic. It was co-written with an actual drone pilot in Ukraine. And then most recently published was Black Flight. And then today I submitted the Battle of Palmdale, which is a really crazy story if you know about it.
So one of the things I want to thank you for doing is I love the history that you put into the game. When I opened Black Flight, it was kind of funny. First of all, folks, you got to get the deluxe edition. It's amazing. But it's got something that every war game company should adopt, and that's a spiral rule book. And I love so I was looking through that, doing the unboxing. Well, then I got to the other and the history part. And to be honest with you, I've read all of that. It was so far, it's been the best part of the game because I haven't played the game, but it really put me into a mindset of wanting to play the game and wanting to learn more about it. I really enjoyed Tally Ho. I really enjoyed that. I also want to thank you for having a partnership with somebody where they created a box game of it, because I don't know if you remember seeing or listening to an older podcast I had. I suck at crafts, and those print and play games. I didn't buy any because I just knew I wouldn't. I'm not going to write in my book. I'm not going to, I'm one of those guys, and I'm horrible at that. I was bad at it in kindergarten, so I'm not going to be any better at it now. And when I first got Tally Ho, I remember opening the box. I was like, "Yep, this is perfect." And so really do appreciate that about doing that too. Not that the book games there's nothing wrong with them. It's just that I don't want to, I don't want to do anything like that. So, it looks like your games are in Belgium.
In Belgium, that's incredible. I've got that's great news. I've got quite a good relationship with Blue Panther, who does the box sets. And one of the things which I'll announce, this is on your show, first announcement in public, is this over the next month, we're going to do spiral bound rules and histories for all of the games and include them in the box. So if you buy the book on Amazon, you can just buy the assets and play it, or you can buy the rules spiral bound in the box, the full game in the box. I'm not including dice, a recommendation from ID Chester, because everybody has too many dice already. But everything else is in the box to play.
Well, first of all, let's don't give Jester any more kudos. We don't need any of that. But yeah, that's a great. I mean, I don't know. It can't. and again, I'm not going to pretend to know about how to, design a game or package a game, but a spiral bound rule book can't add that much to the cost of a game, and it just makes it so much easier to use. And one thing I appreciate about your games too, I love the fact that when you're reading the rules, you're learning the game. And I think Black Flight's pretty crunchy, right? There's a lot of things in there, but I never felt like I was overwhelmed. The way the writing is and the way that the rule book is outlined, it never made you just, back in the day when you're reading some of those old Avalon Hill rule books, right? It was just, the print was real small, and you just, after about reading a page and a half, you were like, oh, I got a headache. Black Flight, I love the way the rule book's laid out. I love the history part of it. The counters are beautiful. The game is big. So folks, it takes up a table, and especially with all the off-board stuff that you have, and all that. But it's, I have to say, you're setting the bar when it comes to these games, and hey, we're going to talk about that in a little bit, But yeah, I really think you see, and then you can't please everybody, right?
Yeah.
And then see, right in the same thing, we've got and I'm like you, I don't mind getting dice, and I don't mind getting dice, but I don't know about you guys, but I play with like one set of dice. So once I find the dice that I think are good, except for today, I was about to throw the dice out for traces of hubris. They were killing me, but yeah, I just I'm looking forward to, so I know nothing about the Palmdale game, so I'm looking forward to seeing that and hearing about that. And now that you explained, I guess I haven't really looked that close at MAG. I really need to look at that too. That's another, that would be something that interests me. So
That's a really fun game. I would say that SOE Lysander and also in Battle of Palmdale, both of them have introduced a mechanic that I created that I think would be perfect for you. There are 2 chits that are expendable once per game, per plane, etc. One of them is called Burn Dice. It allows you to add 2 to any dice roll that you've just had one time during the game. And the other is called Dice Blessing, where when you play it, you get to re-roll the most recent dice roll. And both of those mechanics have proven to be very popular.
I think every game
Thank you.
should have something like that, just because sometimes one die roll can really spoil the whole experience for you, right?
Yeah.
And look, if you have multiple bad die rolls, well, so be it, right? But I hate when I'm playing a game and one bad die roll just kind of kills the whole experience, So that sounds like it's going to be great. But I really, again, folks, if you haven't checked them out, go online. You can get them on Amazon, I know, for the book games, right? You can get them on Black Panther.
Blue Panther, yeah.
Or Blue Panther, sorry.
Yep.
And I got black and blue all squared away. So,
we have a question here that they've just asked. What's the best starting point? Really depends on your interest. They're all actually quite good games. Probably the easiest one to play is Tally Ho, and it gives you a completely different approach to the Battle of Britain. And probably the most difficult, I think actually the best game there is SOE Lysander, but people don't like it because it's very, very challenging. It's as challenging as it was in real life. And a lot of pilots were lost flying those missions. So it's, if you like, we have everything from modern to World War II to World War I, and, and of course in the Cold War era. So yeah, you decide what you like, and they're all pretty good entry points.
I think Tally Ho, that I was glad that was the first one I got, because it was really, like you said, I love a game that you can read the rule book, put it on the table, and start playing it.
Yeah.
And I felt that Tally Ho was that. Black Flight to me is not that. You got to read a little more and get into it a little bit. But Tally Ho was great. I was playing it within an hour of picking it up, and it was great.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. I wouldn't recommend Black Flight just necessarily. I would recommend it, absolutely. But I mean, I'm saying if you're new to war games, it might not be your very first war game.
Right.
It's actually 3 games in one. You have the operational level, the strategic level, and the tactical level as 3 different game systems integrated seamlessly together. So gameplay flows from one play loop, is what I call them, to another at certain trigger points. So, when you're planning your missions, you're laying out your pilots, that's in the operational play loop, and determining what your orders are and so on. And when you're flying the mission on the map, the big map here, that's in the strategic play loop. And then when you get into dogfight, you're in the tactical play loop. And different rules govern each. And they're all 3 easy to learn, but learning all 3 at once is like learning 3 games.
I have to say, I love how you did the altitude part of the game. I like how that, because I think a lot of games don't take that into account. It's just kind of, okay, it's there, but we're not going to really talk about it. And so reading the rules, I kind of like that part of it a little bit. And so
you learn a lot about flying.
Right.
You really do.
I love the fact that it's 2 different games, right? 2 or 3 different games, because when I was reading, I'd read one part of the rules, and then you can kind of see how the other interacts with it. And it's that was really, really cool. So
yeah, the more you know, the better you're going to play, and all that history that you've read is going to help you a lot to survive. You're the squadron commander. You've got 15 men under you, and you may lose half of them by the time you're done in 10 weeks, 10 and a half weeks.
One thing I really appreciated about it too was you've got to know when to just not engage, right? You just gotta, a lot of these games, you just want to get in the fray, right? And just looking at Black Flight and seeing, it's one of those games, I think you better be careful about jumping in the fray, because it could get you pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, try to avoid the German scouts. Those German scout pilots are aces, and they're very, very expert.
Right. All right. So
they will clean your clock.
I kind of gave it a pre-boost, but now we're going to talk about Jasta 18. So tell us a little bit about this title.
So Black Flight covers this Ypres in the spring and early summer of 1917. Jasta 18 is the same, but from the German side. As a result, the orders, the rules, the way they perform, the way they fly, the way they're organized, everything is different. It's all historically accurate. And it's also a solitaire game, but between the 2, you can combine them. And when you combine these games, this is the first time I'm really talking about this publicly. When you combine these games, they transform to completely different altitude in gameplay. Because as you can imagine, you're playing as a solitaire guy, the AI runs the German airplanes, right? Now, when you're playing solitaire in Jasta 18, the AI is running the British and Canadian and French airplanes. When you have it with an opponent across from you, playing head-to-head, it's a head-to-head dust-up. It is brutal, and tricks, all kinds of things that you're going to do, you can really, really mess the other guy over. And you'll see that as you play through the solitaire game, you'll develop tactics and different ways of flying. And now you can imagine when you're running up against a skilled opponent between these 2 games, it's a completely different animal. Thank you, Jester. You will find that, it's like there's 3 games for the price of 2, because you have a solitaire, British, solitaire German, and now you're going to have a combination of the 2. And the Great War series is designed like that. They're all going to cover the same time period in 1917. And by the time I'm done with this, we're going to have ground attack aircraft, what they call contact patrols, balloon busting, all kinds of other, bombing missions. You're going to be able to run a reconnaissance 2-seater squadron. And they're all going to give you completely different rule sets, not for how the combats are played or how you move on the map. That'll all be the same. But how you get your orders and what you fly and where you go and how you organize your squadrons completely transforms the game. And so the history of this really matters. And the more you know about that history and the more you apply those lessons from history, the better you're going to be. And you can play this game when, you can literally play it with 20, 25 people in tournament play at a convention.
I think that's what's the cool part of it. I want to see it. Now, does it come with its, does it have different maps? Does it have, so I take it do the maps go together?
Yeah, Jasta 18 will use the same map.
Okay.
There'll be another set of maps to the north and another set of maps to the south, extending the front line. And you can play on them separately or you can play on them together.
So then if you buy Jasta 18, it's its own game. You can play it by itself. Okay, good.
Yep. And Jasta 18 is actually a little bit easier to manage than the British one.
Okay.
Because there's far fewer pilots, and also the way you fly missions is completely different. You're plotting the missions, actually. You plot out where you're flying. And then you also you're also having standby. The British come across the trenches, and historically trench spotters would call in the number of airplanes and the rough estimate of altitude, and then the Germans would take off to intercept them. And so they had a completely different design thing. One of the things which was just asked by Bumsy Hare is whether it will have different vice and trait cards. And yes, every game, every different country will have its own customized, culturally accurate vice cards and trait cards that help you define your pilots. And so the idea is that in each one you run a squadron of those people. And one of the challenges, these vice cards and trait cards is quite an interesting thing because it adds a kind of character. Not all the pilots are the same. And it represents combat stress, which I think is quite important, and it's a missing element in almost every game I've ever played. As you fly and as you lose your friends in combat and as you shoot down German airplanes, you will see your combat stress, PTS, go up, and your pilots become less and less effective. Some of them will take to drinking, some of them will take to womanizing, some of them won't show up for missions. And all of that, and that's really quite a different experience as a game. So you're managing, a lot of the times you're managing your pilots.
I have to when I open the box to Black Flight, reading the trait cards and the vice cards, that's genius. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for people, but tell them what the cards are great, and whoever had you had a great imagination coming up with a few of those, But
well, they're all. The Royal Naval Air Service was flying Canadian pilots, so they're all Canadian terms. So you see things like Yellowknife Jack,
right,
and a Skookum Man, and so on. These are all Canadian slang terms from the time. So
that's awesome, and
I'm working up the German slang terms right now.
So when will we be able to get this in our hands?
My goal is to get it done by the end of November, which probably means it's going to be sometime in December.
Okay, so hopefully before Christmas?
Yeah, hopefully, at least in book form.
Okay.
One of the things is that, the Battle of Palmdale is being published right now, and it's probably going to be a week or two before it's out on Blue Panther. He's got a lot of games that he's backed up on right now, and we're in the holiday rush already.
Right.
So he's working on trying to keep up with orders just for the holidays. And so, even if I were to publish the book in December, it might not be available in box form until January.
Okay. So, and I do know that, like I said, I'm trying to get through Black Flight so I can do a playthrough before the holidays, because I think a lot of people would like to see it being played, before the holidays. It's just going to depend. I've got, it's like you, I got a lot of things going on, and a lot of games being played. And the Palmdale game, I'm really kind of looking forward to that, just because I'm not familiar with it. So it'll be something new there. But
there's two guys in the chat who have already played the Palmdale game.
Oh, okay.
Paul Dangle has read through it. I don't think he's played it yet, but I know that Chris Shaw has played it, and it has some movement aerodynamics rules in it. Not too difficult, not compared to some of these air war games of the past. And it's a very accurate flight characteristic. And if you get into the feeling of it, you'll have a sense of how early jets performed, where, no other game I've ever played gives you that same feeling where you're going to land with less than 10 minutes of fuel left and things like that. So.
Well, I mean, I think everybody's excited to hear, and man, it looks like you're just on a roll with these games. So really, really happy about that. So now we're going to come to a little thing that I'm going to let Thomas kind of take the reins on this one. This is the fun part of the day. So Thomas, why don't you go ahead and take it away and tell us what we're doing here?
Okay, we're going to do this segment called What's That? And it's about air racers this time. So hopefully you guys know your airplanes, because you're going to be guessing what these airplanes are. And so go ahead. The first airplane here on the screen, we don't have to guess. That's a Caudron C460. It was a French air racer from the mid to late 30s. And of course, it's racing a Bugatti on the ground there. But anyway, go ahead, and we're going to give away a game to whoever guesses the most airplanes. And we'll give you a choice on what game you'd like as well. So go ahead and go to the first one.
Even Jester can win?
Even Jester can win.
Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go, folks. Here's the first one.
I think everyone knows the shape of this airplane. The designer produced 25 airplanes. It was quite deadly, and it killed many of its pilots, most of them, in fact. Jimmy Doolittle is shown there standing by it. BG is almost correct. GB is correct. So who was the first one? Chris Shaw has GB. It's a GBR1 Super Sportster. And Jimmy Doolittle flew it to victory at the Thompson Cup Trophy races. And it has an 800 horsepower engine, which is incredibly powerful. So it's basically a huge engine in the front with a little tiny teardrop fuselage behind it and stubby little wings. And like I said, it killed most of the pilots. Granville Brothers, by the way, went out of business in 1934. They produced 25 airplanes from 1929 to 1934 and then went bankrupt because of the Great Depression, and also because so many of their planes crashed. So go on to the second one.
All right.
You have to know, this one looks probably very familiar. Quite similar to the previous one, but this time you're going to have to know the model name. And yeah, she is a looker. This is a beautiful plane. You'll have to know the model name of this one. And I'm guessing that at least half of these planes, we may not have anybody who knows what they are.
I'm surprised people already. I'm telling you, I looked at them and I had the names and I still didn't know what they were. So,
yeah.
Oh, what Christoph say here?
It's an engine with something attached to it. Yeah, same concept. I wonder what's going on there. It's the same manufacturer. I'll give you that hint.
Oh, somebody said City of Springfield.
Well, that's the nickname of the airplane.
Okay.
So,
oh yeah, because you can read the name on it. Yep.
Yep.
Should we let them take them out of their misery?
GB Mark IV. Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, go ahead. It's a GB Model Z. Wicked fast down the straights. All the GBs were just incredibly fast on the straights, but they couldn't make a turn worth a damn. So they would blast past all the opposition down the straights and then fly really wide around the pylons, losing all their positions again, come to the next straight and blast past all the opposition again. The Thompson Trophy race was perfect for them because it was 10 miles, 5 laps around that course, 7 pylons. So most of the turns were between 30 and 50 degrees. So they could kind of keep the speed up and go wide around the pylons and not lose anything. 800 horsepower engine, how can you go wrong?
All right, here we go.
Oh, now it's going to get tough.
Now it's going to get tough.
Yeah, now we're starting to get tougher. the same designer who designed the GB Model Z racer. But he left the company in the late 1920s, right? You know, the company was founded in 29, and then by the end of 29, he moved on. And this aircraft was meant to outcompete and outpower the GBs. But it had, you know, a high wing and a kind of an interesting looking wing there. Almost looks like a Lysander, yeah, really.
So when did, maybe you don't, you know, I'm sure you do, but when did air racing take off? When did that become a thing?
Oh, the first air races are held just around 1908. So it's not very long after the Wright brothers are flying when they're first starting air races. It's not a Curtiss inverted, no. Interesting, no. I think they're not quite getting this one either. It's a Hall Springfield Bulldog, and the designer was Robert Hall. By the way, this guy is very famous. Robert Hall is very, very famous. He's the guy who designed the F4F Wildcat, the F6F Hellcat, the F7F Tigercat, the F8F Bearcat, and the Grumman Goose amphibian. And then after the war, the end of World War II, he designed the F9F Panther jet and Cougar, the F10F Jaguar, the F11F Tiger jet fighters. And then he went on to design the Gulfstream 1. Finally retired out of Grumman in 1970. So he's absolutely one of the most influential aeronautical engineers in history.
Pioneer in his field, correct?
Huge.
Yeah. All right, going to the next one.
This one should be quite easy for some if they know the airplane. Favorite of Roscoe Turner. Hey, Ruff just dropped in. Favorite of Roscoe Turner. He used to pose with his lion cub mascot in the cockpit.
I should have put up a pixelated picture for Ruff. He might have got it.
This was also Thompson Trophy races in Cleveland. It performed really well. Nothing could really compete with the power of the GBs, but this one has a very big engine too. These are not World War I airplanes. These are 1930s era aircraft. So, and none of them are British. So well, Ruff is probably out of luck on this.
Ruff's out of luck there. All right. Yep. Well, we're going to go ahead and.
It's the Weddell Williams Model 44, one of the most popular air racers of the time. Jimmy Weddell and a guy by the name of Williams, who was a millionaire who funded it, built this aircraft. In 1933, it set the world's speed record for a land plane, 305 miles per hour, which, of course, just, a few years later is already broken. And then you got into World War II and you're going up into the 400s and such. So, all right, moving on.
This is a strapping young looking guy there.
Yeah, it is indeed. This is one of two nearly identical planes. Both were painted white. Not a very big engine, tiny engine, in fact, compared to the big racers it was up against, the GBs and such, but extremely lightweight, extraordinarily well streamlined, very narrow profile. So yeah, exactly. That's what we're doing. It has very, very little profile drag, which means that it was actually just about as fast as some of these great engined airplanes.
It looks tiny.
It started flying in 1932 and it outlasted most of the big engine aircraft. It is tiny. It flew until 1939 when the war broke out, the air races stopped.
No guesses, anybody? You're stumping them, Thomas. You're stumping them.
Little tiny prop. Yep. Howard DGA-4 Mike. And its sister ship, identical except for the landing gear, was the Howard DGA-5 Ike. So it was the Mike and Ike. And the Ike was later branded as Miss Chevrolet, reflecting the airplane's sponsorship.
Wow. And all right. So
we're not doing too well with these kind of air racers. I'm seeing this. 1930 season, the hottest airplane of the season. Fast and maneuverable because it was a biplane wing. Could turn the pylons tightly, but also gain places against the faster, less maneuverable big engine types.
Were they actually painted this like this, brightly colored and that sort of thing? Yeah.
Yeah, the GB was yellow and black, and the GBR1 was red and white. There were a lot of bright, beautiful colors. This one had a 300 horsepower engine, and then later was swapped up to a 500 horsepower engine. And
well, I think we're stumping them.
I think we're stumping them. This is terrible. The Laird LC DW 500 solution or super solution.
So they weren't good about short names back in the day.
No. Well, the next one has quite a long name.
Oh, and there's a hint.
And it was designed entirely in secret. And everybody knew that something was in the works. And nobody knew what was in the works in the, very end of the 20s. And so it got its name for the fact that it was such a secret airplane. It was flown by Jimmy Doolittle, Doug Davis, Frank Hawks, who flew it as Texaco 13. So whoever's at the keyboard is probably typing Texaco 13. And arguably the best woman pilot in history, which is Pancho Barnes.
Pancho Barnes. I'm going to write that down. Look that up.
If you don't know Pancho Barnes, this is probably one of the greatest aviation stories you can ever imagine. All these beautiful women, in the powder puff derby, as they nicknamed it, all dressing in nice dresses and with their makeup done and their hair done and so on. And Pancho Barnes is in chaps, a leather jacket, smoking a cigar and cursing at everybody. She was actually the one who ran the Happy Bottom Riding Club at Edwards Air Force Base that you see in the right stuff, where they put the pilot pictures on the wall. And she was an air racer.
All right. Well, I don't think we're getting any guesses here either. So
the Travel Air Type R mystery ship.
Well, the mystery ship's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It was such a secret that it was called the mystery ship. And a very popular airplane. This next one, we get really tough at the end.
Yeah, they haven't been tough enough as it is. But, so I will say this has got to be one of the ugliest things I've ever seen in my life.
That overhead inline engine, right? That'll do it for you. Not a big radial.
Fast?
Very fast. Very fast. It's one of the wildest designs. I'll give you some of the other names it went by. Speed King 1. These are nicknames. Matilda. The Forden Newman Special. Hardwick Wittenberg Special. And it raced from 1930 to 1937. And it is not called the Walrus. Yes, they get tougher. The next two will be incredibly tough. But this one is also tough. But if you were around in air racing, you would have known all of these back in the 30s.
I think the only person who was around in the 30s is probably Ruff. Should I say that out loud? I mean, I don't know. I'm just kidding, Ruff. I'm just kidding.
All right, nobody's going to get this one. The Folkerts SK1, designed by Clayton Folkerts. He was known as Mr. Speed, by the way. And for the 1930 American Cirrus Derby, the original name was the Mono Special. And the Cirrus Derby, by the way, went from Detroit to, and the pilot, I should mention that. The pilot's name was Roy Stubb Quinby, just known as Stubb Quinby. And the race had mandatory overnight stops at cities all over the United States. So you went from Detroit to Buffalo to Cincinnati, Ohio, Little Rock, Arkansas. They made a turn over Cardboard Commander's house. The
Nice.
pylon was right in your backyard. Over to Houston, San Angelo, Douglas, I think it was, Los Angeles, and then coming back through Ogden, Utah, Lincoln, Nebraska, Chicago, and ending back at Detroit.
Wow.
Stub Quinby, by the way, didn't make it. He crashed this plane in Douglas, Arizona.
Yeah, that's nice. So, folks, we're going to have to speed this up a little bit.
Yep. There's only 2 more, and I can pretty much guarantee nobody will get them.
So I will say this is so Jester is just, I think, throwing out letters and numbers. I think he did that.
This one is a warplane. Arguably the best fighter design in 1932. It was actually declared the best fighter airplane of 1932 at the Cleveland Air Races. You can probably recognize the markings. It's Polish. So exactly what's going on here? It raced at the Cleveland Air Races, or showed up at the Cleveland Air Races, actually. But since it couldn't really compete with the GBs and the Weddell Williams, the Polish pilot, Borislav Orlinsky, put on a stunning aerobatic show and captured the attention of the masses. PZL-11, ooh, very, very close. That is the descendant of this. That came later. So you can just roll back the numbers from PZL-11 and you'll have it. I think we have to give Stuka Joe.
Yeah, there you go, Stuka.
P6.
Look at Stuka gets on the board.
I think Stuka's on the board with that.
And he gets on the board.
Yep.
We gotta give it up to Stuka for that one. So all right, the last one. This is a pretty airplane.
This is a beautiful airplane. Built in 1933 by Keith Ryder, which might give you a tip as to the name of the airplane. It was entered in the McRobertson London to Melbourne race, but it didn't make it to England in time for the start. So it was then sold off to a couple of Douglas engineers by the name of Hal Marcoux and Jack Bromberg. Again, we're giving you lots of hints here. And they modified it and raced it in 1936, and it averaged 248 miles an hour on a closed circuit, rounded around the pylons over many laps, and placed second. So, but it placed in a lot of other things, and it finally was retired in 1939. It's one of the most winning air races of the Thompson Trophy of all time.
Mike.
Was it too slow? I think they had trouble getting it across the Atlantic, actually.
All right. Well, I think we got him stumped on this one too.
Yeah. Well, you remember I called it a Marco Bromberg Keith Ryder R3. I gave you all but the R3.
I can't believe you guys couldn't get that. I mean, come on now.
Unbelievable. I mean, these guys, I don't know. I figured they might know some of the air racers, but they're pretty rare. Wargamers, maybe wargamers are better at warplanes. So
what we'll do is, so we've got 2 people, right, that answered correctly.
Yep.
We have Stuka. So let's do this. I'm going to try to stump you with this too. But if one of these guys gets this one, then that could be the tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker.
And so
now
folks,
you're going to stump me with an airplane design.
Well, I don't know if I'm going to stump you. I'm going to try. Folks, this is this story has one at heart here. You might be able to pick out the name of the plane, but you'll have to tell me what's original about the plane.
Oh, this what was it called? Cobra Ball, wasn't it? It was the telescope or laser device on the top of the laser device for anti-satellite operations that we tested in 1970 80, I think it was 1980 something, under the Reagan Star Wars program. So it was for anti-satellite shoot downs, and I cannot remember the designation.
So, it was called the Airborne Laser Lab, KC-135. There was one plane only, It was stationed out at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico. The reason I know that is my dad actually worked on this plane for 6 years, from 1976 to 1981. And yeah, it was designed, it was very costly, and it was didn't work out very well. But you did great, Thomas. I didn't think you had a chance with that one, and you're exactly right. So that's
I'm sorry. I started off down the line we had another one, but then I realized that the one that was just for observation in the stars, the camera was farther back, and this was a laser device in the turret in the forward. And then I remembered it was part of the ASAT programs that we were doing under Reagan. So yeah.
Yeah, so this plane was actually this is what my dad was actually doing in Vietnam.
Wow.
At Da Nang, in 1970 to 71. Yeah, so, and
wow.
It never took off in Vietnam, but to do anything, but it was there. And well, folks, so I don't know how you going to come up with a winner there, Thomas.
Well, let's see. One of the things about Chris Shaw is that since he tests just about every game that I have, I pretty much send him every game that I.
Sounds like to me, Stuka Joe's the winner then.
So but I can. What I would do is give both of them a game, and the question is, maybe the best way to do it is both of them one of the game books, and so on. Chris is saying give it to Stuka because Chris gets all the game books anyway. It's true. So I could just dice it off. I have a pair of dice here.
Okay.
So, okay.
Oh, so
my dice hate me. I didn't even declare what I was rolling for. So let's well, the evens will be Stuka and odds will be Chris. And we have a 2.
All right. So Stuka Joe's the winner. And Tally Ho's great, Stuka. You got to give that a shot.
So let me know which you would like. And he just said he ordered Lysander and Black Flight. Well, thank you, sir. So we'll have to figure out what to do here.
All right. Well, we're bumped up against it, folks. So we're going to go ahead, and I want to take this time and first of all, thank you guys. Hey, I know there's a bunch of new people in the chat. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, do that. Give us a thumbs up, all that YouTube stuff. I also want to thank you, Thomas. It's been great having you on the show. It looks like we could have went for 2 hours on our show, and maybe next time we'll do a military history airplane quiz. That might be good. But I learned a lot, so that was great too. So, so folks, again, Thomas, if you want to hang out for a minute after we get off,
sure.
we'll go there. But for the rest of you guys,
thank you for having me on, good sir. Thank you.
Oh
very
yeah,
much.
no worries.
It's been a great honor.
I want to thank you guys for all coming into the chat. And folks, until next time, be safe, be kind. Happy wargaming, everybody. All right.